Okay, minasan konnichiwa, annyeonghaseyo, bonjour. You are listening to the Am I Streaming or Am I Dreaming podcast. I've got a very awesome guest today, Mr. Khalil Hussein. He is running a dental and also chiropractic and healing practice. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. In the
Yeah, yeah.
United Kingdom, he has so much knowledge and expertise to share, and I've got some amazing questions for him. Thank you so much for joining. Please tell us, how did you get started?
Oh, wow. How did I get started? I don't know if you remember. Did you ever meet my mum? Mum. So the mum was obviously like my mum is my mum. What am I trying to call me now? Put this
Busy
on
man.
silent.
No worries if you need to take the
Yeah.
call. We can always
No,
pause.
no, that's it's my sister. It's my sister. All right.
Oh, that's
I'm just because I
important.
called her
Please
before.
take it. We were
No, no,
even
no, no,
just
no,
talking about it.
no. So it's my because I called her before because I was with
Mm.
my daughter. So yeah, exactly. Because my parents obviously live in Australia and they never met my daughter, so I always try and call them as much as I can. But yeah, so my mum. So my mum was obviously I'm half white, so my mum kind of stuck out when she's hanging around me. But I don't know if you know, but my parents were in a car accident before I was born. Do you know? I don't know if
No,
you probably never knew that,
I never knew.
but no, no. So my yeah, so my parents were in quite a bad car, like a very bad car accident. My sister was about three. I think where were they going? What's the name of it? There's a dam that's not far from Harare. Not
Kariba
Kariba. It's
Dam?
like not Kariba, not Kariba. It's
Okay,
not that. There's a
Kariba is
few
the
that
only
come
one I
out.
know.
It's like quite. It's not. It's I don't know. There's a dam somewhere near Harare somewhere, right?
Mm.
Not too far, right? And people used to go back there and chill. And so one day they decided to go for a car ride, right? And
Mm.
they had one of the reason they went was because I think my mom's work colleague was in town from the UK because she used to do a lot of research.
Mm.
She used to work at like universities and publish papers and stuff. So they went for a car ride and yeah, back in those days, no one wore seatbelts.
Ouch.
Tires were bad and stuff. So then yeah, the tire burst and then they rolled down a hill. My sister flew out the window
Oh no.
because obviously she wasn't wearing a seatbelt either. And then my dad, luckily no scratches, but unfortunately my mum broke her neck, so she fractured a C5-6. So in the neck there's seven vertebrae, it's 1 to 7. So
Mm.
she fractured C5-6, and she had some permanent nerve damage down her left side of her body.
Mm.
The guy in the back, who was the guest, he's now a paraplegic, I think. So he can move his
Oh.
upper body, but he can't use his lower body. Yeah, so quite intense, And so essentially, then they took her to Avenues Clinic. They kept her in bed for like 6 months, which
Mm.
is what they wouldn't do that kind of stuff now
Mm.
because they know that makes it worse. But obviously, they kept her in traction, stopped the neck from moving. I mean, they took a piece of the fibula, which is like part of the lower leg on
Mm.
the outside, and they fused her spine.
Wow.
Well, they fused C5-6. So yeah, so my mom obviously had a lot of problems growing up. So she had it's called a hemiplegia. Hemiplegia is essentially when one half of your body, so normally hemi is like the
Mm.
hemisphere, so left and right. So the
Mm.
left side of her body didn't work too well. So she couldn't her hand was kind of like this. I've got this cup here. She
Mm.
wouldn't be able to do this. She'd
Mm.
have to do it like this, right? She'd have to
Mm.
hold it like that. She can't grip onto things. And she walked with a limp, and she struggled a lot. She had a lot of chronic pain and different things like that. Yeah. Anyway, so fast forward a couple of years, we leave Zimbabwe, we go to
Mm.
Australia, and she's obviously getting older, getting a little bit worse, and she used to go and see the chiropractor.
Mm.
And so when I was finishing up with high school, they were like, okay, oh no, high school, yeah, they were like, okay, well, what do you want to do?
Mm.
Medicine, you want to do this, do that? My dad was like, oh, don't do physio because apparently, because back in those days, physio was quite overrun. There's a lot of physios, and it was very hard to get into. So he's like, don't do physio. And she's like, oh, maybe do this, that, whatever. And then eventually we were like, oh, okay. So I went to go and I was like, when you tried chiropractic, I was like, what the hell's that? And so we went to my sister at the time was working in nutrition, like I told you before. So she used to work as part of a gym. She went to there was a chiropractor there. So I went to go and watch her, and I was like, okay, I don't know what the hell this thing is, right? So I just watched it and I was like, okay, it sounds kind of coolish, right? And then my mom used to go and see that chick, and she found a lot of benefit from it. And then fast forward, I got into university, I went into the science degree, and they were like, okay, we'll just do lots of anatomy, physiology, and then you kind of like broaden your range and decide what you want to do. So I went and I did the medical exam for medicine in Australia. I think I missed out by like 1 or 2 marks, to get into medicine, and then I was going to try the next year again. But then at the same time, I used to do a lot of gym, a lot of training, and I hurt myself. Mom was like, "I'll go and see Alex. Alex is the chiropractor." So I went there, and I was like, I was limping around, like my back. I was getting this pain down my leg. And then she's like, "Yeah, cool, whatever, whatever." And then she does this thing, and she put me on my side, and she went, like, and I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is that?" You know what I mean? And then I walked up, I was like, "Oh wow, like I'm feeling pretty good. Like I'm feeling really good." And she goes, "Okay, like come back whenever." And I walked out, and I was like pain free, and I was like, "That's sick. I want to do that." You know what I mean? Like because that way you can help someone that way. And I said because as well, my mother had so much benefit from it. I think if my mom didn't have so much benefit from it, then I would never have gone into it. You know what I mean? Because obviously I've seen the way that she suffered a lot throughout her life. And one of the things I always say now whenever I do talk is that if I knew what I knew today, and my mom, unfortunately, my mother passed away about 4 years ago. So if I knew what I knew today, and my mother was still alive, I know I could help her so much. But unfortunately, she passed away. But so I try as much as I can to pump the knowledge out there, so at least someone gets benefit from it. So I do my YouTube videos, I do. I haven't done Instagram for a while, but I try and as much as I can get some good information out there because unfortunately in the chiropractic world, there's a lot of people who are quite shit. That's probably the only thing I could say. So that's basically how I started. Yeah.
Incredible story. I had absolutely no idea. And, my condolences. I remember the a conversation I had with your mother. We were driving to your house and we were passing, so from St. George's, passing Hartman House College. And the question she asked me, I think she asked me how I define myself, something like that. I remember my answer. I told her I'm the black sheep of the family because I had heard the word black sheep and it sounded really cool. I didn't 100% know what it meant, but as a child, you can't really take in everything. I had no idea she had the condition you described. As a child, you don't see these things. All you see is how you interact with people. But she was such a warm and kind person. And I remember we were playing the PlayStation 2 at the time. And I believe she had made lunch. And you had a really cool room, like one of the coolest rooms I'd ever seen. And I think you're one of the first people to have like basketball shoes. I never seen like a shoe specifically for basketball. I believe it was you and Kasu who had like actual basketball shoes. And I thought a shoe is a shoe is a shoe.
Yeah, it didn't help me on the basketball court. So obviously didn't do much because it didn't help me on the court.
Wow. And just how you mentioned going into chiropractic care, my interest in movement and that thing actually, I believe, first came from maybe the few sports I used to do and video games, Japanese video games, particularly Tekken, Iron Fist, and seeing bodies move in interesting ways. I'd see something in a video game and try it in real life. Who could kick higher, jump higher? I think I was always predisposed to doing something with movement because movement used to keep me busy. It made life a real video game. And the particular way you do chiropractic care and you're mixing it in with like visually interesting images, social media, your ability to make it fun and interesting. Usually it's a very technical thing and people use a lot of technical terms and I'm like, oh boy, I'm already lost. I know kicks and punches and basic parts of the body. And I think, can we talk about how you really understood how to navigate social media so well? And your newsletter is also so interesting. You really include almost a storytelling element.
Sorry. Bloody staff members, I'm gonna tell them off. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Ooh, busy man, handle business.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, there's something called a precept. Sorry again.
Super busy. Okay. Okay. So moving from there, your newsletters have really been telling a very interesting story. Congratulations on your daughter and the marriage and juggling that all with a very busy career. How did you learn to navigate social media with business and actually make interesting chiropractic and recovery posts?
Trial and error, basically. Just that's literally how it is. Trial and error. Do a couple of courses. Try something. Does it work? Yes, no, maybe. Oh, this one got a lot of shares on it. This one people seem to like it more. Oh, this one actually, someone contacted me about X problem. Just reading about how people take in information. Do you know what I mean? Because no one cares about something unless it's about themselves. Generally, do you know what I mean? This human nature, unfortunately. Like people listen to podcasts to gain something. People listen to documentaries to gain something. You know what I mean? So we watch TV shows for entertainment. We don't watch them because we want to support the actor. You know what I mean? So we watch sports for entertainment. We don't want to support the thing. So there's always people want to get something out of it. So I think the biggest thing I learned was that you have to make it relevant to someone and give them something. Because if you give someone something, then they're more likely to appreciate it, take it on board. And so you have to make it very relevant because everyone's out there just trying to solve their own problems. No one really cares about my problems or other people's problems unless it has a something that can help them. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's like it sounds quite like we're all very selfish, but I think that mainly it's just a human program that we've just been evolved. I think that like there's a good saying that we have the Stone Age minds in Space Age times, so we're still very primitive people, but we have a lot of access to technology now and a wealth of information like in our pockets. So that's the main thing. How I learned really is just trial and error and just seeing what works. I mean, I haven't done social media for a while now. I just been too busy really, and my wife is very good at social media. She's very good at knowing what people want and knowing how to give a good sort of not performance, but a good story and stuff like that as well. You know what I mean? So I think that's the main thing of how to learn. But most of it comes to trial and error, really. There's no one formula because every day things change. What was really entertaining last week, no one cares about anymore. Nowadays it's all about TikToks and reels and stuff like that. People want that kind of fast action. They either want a 1 minute clip or they want a 1 hour documentary. Nothing in between nowadays. So it's constantly changing. You have to keep up and keep trying and stuff like that. But if you throw enough shit at the wall, something will stick eventually.
So true. I couldn't agree more. What I like a lot about your page is you have a very big emphasis on quality information. Now, in the world of like TikToks and IG Reels, how good do you think is some of the information out there? Because for myself personally, I'm seeing a lot of garbage and I never even studied it. And some of the things I instantly know, this doesn't sound right.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit out there, a lot of garbage. But the thing is, people are trying to cater to views. You know what I mean? They're trying to get as many views as possible because if you're, you know what I mean, if you're the most loudest one or the most popular one, people are going to notice you. And that's all it is. Social media. It's just everyone screaming out. So like, look at me, I do a thing, buy my stuff. That's basically social media in a nutshell. So there's a lot of crap out there, a lot of crap, a lot of just we call reductionist stuff. So reductionist is just like you take something very complicated and you try to boil it down to something very simple. Oh, 5 best exercises for back pain. You know what I mean? But there's no context to it. They're just like, oh, here, 5 exercises for back pain. There's no context whatsoever. I think I did. I ripped into some. There's a popular Instagram guy. He's like a personal trainer and stuff, and he does like workout videos. And he's like, his video was like back pain. That's all he put, just back pain. And he put these random things, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what someone with back pain? Oh, they're gonna go and try and what? It's gonna magically no. There's no context. Everything is about context. That's why I try to like break it down in my caption or in my thing. You need to give people context because people think that no worries, just go like this and then your back pain will be solved. Go like put your arm here and then your arm will be solved. I mean, try these easy ways to do this. 5 ways to lose weight. People are being drowned by that kind of crap. So yeah, not very good.
Totally. I think what's going to happen is it'll reach a point where there's so much nonsense that people will start rejecting it, and then only the truth will rise up. But I think your following on social media really shows that quality information is the best way to play the game. Another interesting thing I picked up from your newsletters is you help people navigate not only the injury, but also the mental and emotional um, parts of it. These last 2 years have been particularly challenging for the world mentally and emotionally. What are some of the ways you would recommend um, for people to, handle mental and emotional stress?
I think the first thing is to recognize it, because most people think, no, no, I'm not stressed, it's fine. You know what I mean? They're not very in tune with themselves. Again, Stone Age minds and space age times. So our brains are our nervous system is very primal. That's what people don't understand. They don't understand that when someone says something to you, they curse you, or they say something to you, or they just like, or the tone of voice is not right or wrong or whatever, it triggers something inside you. And that's a lot of that's underneath the surface is unconscious, and people don't realize that. That's a primitive stress response. And so once you begin to realize that we are so primitive and that's how our bodies work, then you can start to realize, okay, why do I do what I do? Why do I get angry when this happens? Why do I get pissed off in traffic? Why do I get, depressed when this happens to me? Why am I worried about my back pain? Why am I, scared of my exam results? And it's because they're all primitive responses. So they're all designed to keep us alive. All these responses, they're designed to keep us alive in the wild, where we used to be under not constant fear, it's under threat of death. Death by starvation, death by pollution, pollution of water, death by attack. A lion could attack you, a tiger could attack you, someone else could attack you. Do you know what I mean? So when you feel uneasy when someone approaches you in the street and they start talking to you, that's a natural response, because back in the day, you don't know if this guy if he's going to come and rob you, or he's going to kill you, or try and take your stuff. Nowadays, obviously, we have law and order, so it's less likely. But the thing is that response is inbuilt into us, and that's good. It keeps you alive. And so, firstly, you have to recognize that your brain is very primitive, and that a lot of these things are unconscious, quick reactions to things. And so you need to stop and wait a minute, check in with yourself. How am I feeling? How's it going? Do I feel stressed? Do I feel worried? Okay, what is it I'm feeling right now? You need to become observant of your own experience, essentially. So a lot of people, they just go through life and they're hanging on. They're like, oh, like they're on a motorcycle and they're like out of control. And so they wherever the motorcycle goes, they go with it. But you have to realize that you're the rider, you're in control. So you have to recognize what's going on first, see what's happening. And then once you become more in tune with yourself, you can start to question yourself, okay, why is this happening? What's going on? Is it because they said that? And why do I feel this way? Blah, blah, blah. And once you start to realize these different things, you can start to change things, because without recognition, you can't change. Because if you don't recognize a problem, how are you ever going to change it? So the main thing is to firstly recognize. Then the second thing would be to accept it. Okay, so a lot of people, they try to run away from their feelings. They try to run, oh, I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be anxious. But it's like saying, I don't want to think about pink elephants. It's pretty hard, right? So you have to accept it. Whatever it is, you just be like, okay, fine, I accept what's happening to me. I feel anxious, I feel X, I feel this, I feel that. That's a very important part, because it means you're accepting yourself as well. Once you accept yourself, your body will calm down. Because if your body is in fear, if you're saying, no, I don't want to be anxious, your body goes, there's a problem here, let's get away. So it makes you more anxious. So you trying to get you out of there. So if you feel uneasy in a social situation, that's your body trying to protect you and say it thinks you're in danger. So it's trying to help you. So you need to think about it as not a bad thing, but as a good thing, as a way your body's trying to protect you. And so you just go, okay, I accept that my body's trying to protect me. I'm being okay with it, right? And then you start to investigate as well. Like I said, investigate, okay, why is this happening? And then the thing is, the last thing would be to detach yourself from those feelings. So just because you feel anxious doesn't mean you are anxious. Feelings are feelings. They're felt in the body. They're not your being. They're not who you are as a person. So, and there's a very good acronym for that. It's called RAIN. So RAIN, sorry. Recognize, accept, investigate, non-attachment. So you do all those things, and then you can start to detect. You can start to feel better and become more in control of your mental, emotional stress. And then probably the last thing I would say with it is to also recognize that it's a two-way street between the body and the mind. So people think it's one or the other. They think, when if someone comes to me in pain, and I try to explain to them, like, that your brain creates pain, they think, oh, she's saying it's all in my head. Well, yes, it is all in your head, but you're still feeling it. It's still causing pain, but you have to understand that it's a two-way street. It's not just like one car park, another car park. It's a two-way street that goes back and forth. So what happens here affects here. What happens here affects here. So you need to understand that when you feel things like anxiety or stress or whatever it is, you need to deal with the physical side of it as well as the mental side. So the RAIN is for the mental side, dealing with that, but you also need to deal with the physical side, because when you have these emotions or these feelings, you get physical responses. So when you have anxiety, your heart rate shifts. Your heart rate becomes faster. Your breathing becomes more shallow. Your blood pressure goes up or it goes down. Your body releases glucose, and your body releases glucose into the bloodstream to try and get you out of there. Your muscles tense up. You know what I mean? So if you don't deal with the physical side of it, then your body will go, okay, you know what? My muscles feel anxious, therefore I must be anxious. So do you know what I mean? So just because your body's feeling anxious, your mind will think, okay, I'm anxious. So it starts to like go back and forth. You know what I mean? So instead of this causing the anxiety, it's the anxiety causing this. So you have to do with the physical side. So learning to relax, learning to recognize those feelings, and then learn to relax them, get away from them, do de-stressing things physically as well as mentally. Then you can deal with both sides of it.
Wow, incredible and insightful answer. Thanks so much for the good, analogy of life being a motorcycle that you need to lead, and learning the acronym RAIN. I almost want to encourage listeners, get your notepads out, take notes. So many of life's mysteries were revealed from just that one answer. So I almost want to go into further detail and talk about some of the interesting things you mentioned. Another thing that I liked about your newsletter is you have experience working in many different cultures. You've lived in different countries. Could we just talk about maybe some of the surface level differences and culture shocks
Sure.
you experienced between, let's say, Australia, the UK, and I believe in your dental practice, you've got people from India, people from Poland. I see a lot of interesting
Everywhere.
cultures, and that makes for a lot of very interesting situations. Could you maybe give us a little insight into any funny stories you
Hmm.
had and things you learned from it?
Mm, I mean, I think it's not the culture wasn't too bad because I think because obviously Zim was a British colony, so there's a lot of British cultures and values, and so is Australia. So I think culturally, the values are very similar from Zim to Australia to UK. They wouldn't be as crazy as if you went to like say Japan. You know what I mean? So I've been to Japan twice, and I obviously lived there, and it's a massive culture shock when you come from like a Western country to be like, what the hell's going on here? Do you know what I mean? And myself, I was obviously I'm half Indian, so and I was basically raised with the Indian cultural values. So I think a lot of my friends in Australia are from Zim. They're sort of very similar to me. So the culture shock wouldn't be as big as I would say it was. Um, I think the main thing is that when you're going from place to place to place, you tend to gravitate towards people who are like you because obviously it's easier, right? And so, I mean, we in the dental practice we have Polish, Lithuanian, Indian, different random people here and there, and we all try to live under one kind of ethos. But I think you just need to take on board what people are trying to think about what people mean behind what they do. Some people do stupid things. Why is this person doing that? You know what I mean? Like, but to them, it's like not a stupid thing because of their culture, or whatever else like that. I think you have to try and understand what they're trying to do, and then also you teach them like, look, this is the way that we do it here. This is our culture. This is our obviously be respectful of people other culture. But if you're especially in a business setting, you need to be at the head of the culture and be the ones who's dictating and saying this is the culture we want to have. You know what I mean? Like you can't behave in this sort of way. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't really have too many funny stories to be honest. Um, I think probably the biggest one would be in Australia. People, not all people, but a lot of people are quite racist. Not a lot of people are quite racist, and so there's obviously a thing like when we would actually I do have a story. We were on the bus. This is me and my friends in Australia. We were about 16 on the bus in Australia, and all of us are from Zim, right? So all of us, we're talking in English, but we're talking in slang. Do you know what I mean? Like, be like, suck, no, man, don't, like scan this one, da da da. And so obviously to someone else, it might sound very weird. And then some woman turned around, she goes, oh, you're in Australia, speak English. And we're like, we are speaking English. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's because obviously coming from Zim, the slang is like another language because you throw in a bit of Afrikaans, a bit of this, a bit of that. You know what I mean? Like, so that's probably so we got obviously told off about that, not speaking English, which we were, but yeah, that's the main thing I would say, the main difference. Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea the situation was like that. That is really wild. I think maybe I'm the one who just looks for culture shock all the time. I I've got way too many stories about
Japan, I
culture shock.
imagine.
Yeah, just everywhere I go, there's just so many different communities, and as you interact with people, sometimes what you expect is not the case, and sometimes what they expect of you um,
Mm.
can also be really, really different. But in terms of some of the other things like healthy food, exercise, recovery, let's say we compare UK and the and Australia. What are some of the differences you saw in like diet and healthcare, or were they more or less the same?
Very similar, yeah. I'd say. I mean, the healthcare system here in the UK is based on the NHS, so basically everything's free. Um, but because of that, there's long waiting lists, and because of that, also the preventative healthcare is not very good. So it's very good if you're dying or you have an acute emergency, it's phenomenal. But if you have any other chronic conditions, it's not. I mean, it is something. I'm not lying. Let me backtrack. If you have a chronic condition, it is managed, but it's. I feel like it's sometimes some things I've always missed. Like in terms of like people with back pain or like injuries, the physio in the NHS is not, to be honest, not very good in my opinion. And I have friends who are physios who work in the NHS. You know what I mean? They're like, it's not very good. So the thing is, sometimes it's not the physio's fault. I think it's the bureaucracy involved because they only have like so long with the patient and they have to do mountains of notes and different things. So obviously, some people, they just go to the physio and they're like, oh, okay, have a look. Okay, here's a sheet. Do this at home. See you later. There's no like, there's no coaching people. There's no helping, no talking to them, no guiding them. And I think it's just more. It's not the physio's fault. It's more the system's fault that it doesn't allow them to do that. In terms of like healthy eating and stuff, I think it's very much the same in Australia. I think people are a bit more active, obviously because of the weather and stuff like that. We're a very sporting nation, but obviously big obesity crisis there and obesity crisis here as well. Um, I would say that I think the Australian system is a little bit better. Number one, because we probably have less people, we have less people, so it helps. Number two is because it's kind of, you can go 50-50. Whereas here, the problem with the NHS is that in the NHS, there's a obviously thing about equality. So it's like, well, if you've got more money, why should you get access to more care than somebody else? Which is fair enough. I understand that. Do you know what I mean? But it's not always practical because if two people are waiting for the same amount of care, there's only so many doctors that can go around. You know what I mean? And as in terms of a business point of view, it's not. What's the point in doing something if you're not going to be making money? If you, that's the whole point of a business, to grow, to provide for you and stuff like that. So over here, if you're NHS as a doctor, right, you can't really do half-half. So you can't have private slots that people can pay an extra £50 and get seen sooner. Do you know what I mean? I mean, as dentists here, we're dentists. We're probably the only thing that's mixed. So we have half-half. So you can go see an NHS dentist, but then you can also get a private treatment at the same time, right? But the thing is, the NHS won't cover any part of that at all, right? So basically, if you go to the doctor here, you either go to the NHS doctor, right, and you don't pay for it, okay, or you go to a private doctor, you pay everything, every single cent. The NHS doesn't give you, it doesn't give anything. In Australia, you can go half-half, right? So in Australia, there's what we call bulk bill doctors. So doctor, you go, you don't pay nothing, it's free. But obviously, those doctors, in order to make money, they have to see a lot of people. They have to churn through so that you get less care. But you can also go to a doctor where the system in Australia, the government will pay, $70 per session, but you can also pay an extra 30-40 on top. You get a long appointment time, you get seen a bit sooner, a bit more comfortable. So obviously that's not ideal for someone who can't afford it. It's technically not fair because why should I get better care because I have money to spend on it? But what that does is that it frees up the rest of the system to look after people who need more care, right? And also the private health there is much better, much easier to use. So when you have private health in Australia, you can go and just swipe your card, and that every year that you private health gives you so much towards, they give you $500 towards chiropractic, 200 towards physio, and this amount, whatever. And then the government actually incentivizes you to get private healthcare. So if you don't have private healthcare and you earn over a certain amount, they'll tax you more. So everyone ends up getting private healthcare. And so this is, whereas private healthcare here is a nightmare. I hate it. I take on private healthcare, and it's a nightmare. It's so hard to do. Whereas over there, you just go, so swipe your card, see you later, it's all done. So I think those are the two main differences essentially.
Wow. Yeah, that really gives a lot of insight into some of the red tape and, some of the frustrations the guys providing. are going through. I had no idea. And maybe just speaking 10 to 20 years ago, the idea of even healthcare was you only really considered it in times of emergency. The idea of
Mm,
even preventative medicine was such a foreign concept. You had a few people who are maybe athletes who are chasing maybe peak performance, or maybe some who are doing it for like the vanity. And the idea of a lot of practices at that time, not many people knew the risks. In South Africa, there was an advert on TV. It was for a weight loss product called BioSlim, and the idea was finally we can have easy weight loss. Just take this, and you could lose 50 kilograms in like 6 months.
mm,
And now that I have like more social media to sort of top up my knowledge gap, and I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound healthy at all. Why not make sure
mm,
you never get to that situation and actually live a lifestyle that prevents you from ever getting in that situation? And the idea at
mm.
that time was once you finished your 20s, you just naturally got out of shape, that it was normal. And I think a lot of that has changed now. Maybe just for me, in your experience in like the UK and Australia, which kind of almost sets the trends um, for a lot of other countries, how have people been approaching this thing of preventative medicine? And has social media helped? Or
No, I think it has. It's become a big thing, but I think it's been taken over by some of the crap I talked about before on social media. So in Australia, there's a lot of health influence, tons of influencers, health influence, still massive one. Like there's Kayla Itness, who she's really good. I mean, she has like something million followers on Instagram, but she's one of the good, better ones. But there's a lot of influencers out there who try to tote this healthy lifestyle, but they give this unrealistic expectation. So I think it's been monopolized, it's been capitalized, sorry, by people out to make a quick buck. Who are like, oh, you're struggling to lose weight, try my product. But then they also try to promote this healthy life. I think they're trying to bastardize it a little bit. And I think one of the biggest things is that they, again, it goes back to the primitive mind, Stone Age, Stone Age to mind, space age times, is that people are too quickly looking out for quick things. They don't want to understand principles. They don't want to learn more. They don't want to upgrade their knowledge, because the problem is that in your life you need to make hundreds of decisions every day, thousands of decisions, even more, right? And so now, how do you know which one to do? How do you know which thing to dictate? How much chicken do you eat? How much do you eat chicken? Oh no, is it free range chicken? Oh no, do you eat pesticides? Oh, water and then sleep. And then there's so many different questions that people need to know and need to understand to create that healthy lifestyle, that the only way you could ever do it is to learn more. And I think that in the UK and in Australia, there are a lot of people out there in social media who are doing lots of good things with healthy lifestyle. But I think that it's also been taken over. I think also some governments also just like, look, people are lazy. We're not going to bother. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, it's hard. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money to do preventative healthcare, to do these things. And so their initiatives often they just fall short because it's not enough. Because the thing is, you have to literally sit there with someone and teach them. And the thing is, not even that, they have to want to be taught. They have to seek the knowledge. And so that's a tough one to do for anything. So I think it falls on the person themselves, and it falls on people like myself to try and entice people, which is annoying, because people should want to do it themselves. But sometimes you have to entice people because they don't know what they want. Like they want something, but they don't know that they need this thing. So you have to entice people to do these different things.
you worded it so well. People want flat tummy tea, but they actually need a skipping rope and
Yeah,
to
yeah.
jog. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Do you have any other social media recommendations of good sources of information? Myself personally, I love Coach Greg Doucette and Knees Over Toes guy. Um,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
they're good.
recommend
Yeah,
that to anyone to get, and of course your
yeah.
page.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of brilliant people. There's James Smith, PT. He's really good. There's Lane and Norton. He's very good. Ben Carpenter, also very good in that realm. There's Martin McDonald, Martin Nutrition. He's called. They're all very good guys. They're all like no BS guys. They're all like very much evidence-based kind of guys, and no fluff, no bull crap. There's Sohi Fit, which is also very good. Yeah, those would be my main ones. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. You're the second person who's recommended Sohi Fit to me, so I better visit those channels and get some good information in. Your newsletter also had a very interesting term. It kind of flew over my head, so I need to ask you about it again. Please, could you tell me what is allostatic load? And you also mentioned fibromyalgia.
Fibromyalgia.
Oh, fibromyalgia. That could be
Myalgia.
a nice name for a kid. I might have to recommend somebody to go look at that.
So this is the Latin name. So myalgia. So my is like muscle. So algia is like means like pain or soreness, right? So fibro, they basically they mean like fibrous muscle soreness essentially. So they used to think that fibromyalgia, it's called like, because basically how you diagnose fibromyalgia, but I don't know if they've changed it now, but basically was you need to have like 18 of like 30 sore spots in the body. So do you have pain here? 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 You know, do you have pain? Well, then yes, I have these spots of pain. Okay, so you have fibrous pain spots, right? But they used to think it was a muscular physical thing, but I mean it is. People do feel pain and have physical changes, but the main thing with fibromyalgia is essentially that it's a condition where essentially people become hypersensitive to life, right? So you know, if they don't sleep enough, or if they sleep too much, or if they don't drink enough water, if they drink too much water, or if they get stressed or not enough stress, if they do too much exercise, too little exercise, you know, if someone says something to them, if they, you know, their systems are so highly sensitive that it's very easy to go out of balance, essentially. And when that happens, they get a lot of pain in their bodies. And so what happens is that over time is that their body becomes even more sensitive to small changes. So they're basically, their body can't take a lot of stress at all. And so whenever they do get stressed, they get a lot of pain. Okay. And the thing is, people used to think, oh, it's all in the head because we can't find any physical, you know, they scan them. There's nothing wrong with the bones. Nothing wrong with it. Oh, it's not in your head. No, the people do feel the pain. They do feel a 9 out of 10 pain. It's just that there's physically not much wrong with them. You know what I mean? You can't find anything, but they feel the pain physically. And so it's, and that's because all pain is generated from our brain. And it's just it's a threat thing. So if you tear your Achilles, you're going to feel pain because your body goes, that's not good. That's dangerous. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, there's been stories of soldiers who break their legs and they run away. But how? Because their body prioritizes running away from a bullet over the pain of a broken leg, right? So the thing is that's what pain essentially does. So in people with fibromyalgia, that system is all out of whack, and essentially doesn't work. And it's a very, very common thing. It's much more common in people who have HSP, which is high. HSP stands for highly sensitive person. So people who are sensitive to things like smells, noises, sounds, mess, different things. So they're very sensitive. Their body goes like a bit crazy with it, with even their mind as well. So that's essentially what fibromyalgia. Now, allostatic load is essentially all the stuff that I talked about. So allostatic or allostasis is kind of how our body deals with stress. So allostatic load is how much stress is on our body. So that can be physical stress, mental stress, emotional stress, nutritional stress, whatever. It's the amount of stress, okay? So if you have too much allostatic load, then your body's gonna have some kind of bad response, okay? Let's say if you were David Goggins, for example. You know David Goggins? David Goggins, right? His ability to tolerate allostatic load is like ridiculous, right? Because he can just withstand fucking everything, right? He can run on broken chins. He can have pneumonia. The thing is, he still feels pain, but his body kind of like deals with it very well, right? Because he's just a beast, right? There comes a point where he will have too much allostatic load still. When that happened to him, he got pneumonia, he got sick, he broke his ankles, you know, all these different things. So, you know what I mean? But mentally, he never really gave up. So allostatic load is kind of like stress, where it's mental, physical. It's kind of like all of them into one, and how much your body can tolerate, right? So most people, people with fibromyalgia, they have very low tolerance. They can't tolerate a lot of allostatic load. You know, you might be able to tolerate a lot. You could go running, go hit the gym twice in a day, and then do a highly stressful job and then sleep 5 hours a night and you might be fine. You know what I mean? But if someone else did that, then their body will break down. You know, so everyone has their own different points of what they can tolerate, and that's essentially what allostatic load is that how much stress is on your body.
Wow, those are some nice takeaway terms, and much to think about. I'm breaking up with fibromyalgia. I don't think me and her see eye to eye. Very, very interesting. And I'll just scroll down a bit. You've covered so much interesting ground and such a wide base of terms. For somebody who's a beginner to understanding more about maintaining their body and recovering, where would you say is the first point they should start?
I think go see someone. Go see someone like me, or someone who knows something like me, because there's too much stuff out there. There's too much stuff, and to be honest, you'll save yourself a lot of time, a lot of energy. Go speak to someone who knows more than you. You know, you could start on the internet, but there's too much shit on the internet. You know, you could go on YouTube, but there's so much crap in it. How do you filter it all? You don't have enough time. You know, I've spent the time. I've been doing this for 10 years, more than 10 years, 11 years. I've spent so much time filtering through crap, learning crap, realizing that it's crap. So then getting rid of the crap. Do you know what I mean? So now I know what's useful, what's not, like the whole Bruce Lee thing. Absorb what's useful, disregard what's not. So the thing is, save yourself the time and energy. Just go and find someone for whatever it is you want. Speak to someone who knows more than you do. Pay them. Trust me. When you pay for things, your life is so much better because number one, you get good quality information most of the time, and also once you've paid for something, you're more likely to commit to it. When you get stuff for free, it's like whatever, don't value it. Whereas if you paid for something, there's more value attached to it, so you're more likely to get benefit from it. So if you want to lose weight, hire a PT because you're paying someone to help you lose weight, right? Because you're paying that person there to help you keep accountable, and also because you're paying, you're more likely to do it, right? If you wanna, if you have a problem in your shoulder, go pay someone, pay a physio, pay a chiro. If you find shit physios and chiros, go look for somebody else. Keep looking. There's going to be someone who's going to be very good. Pay someone to help you. Do you know what I mean? Like you can go down the road yourself, but trust me, it's a long road. It's a long, long road, and ain't nobody got time for that. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. I fully co-sign that people should invest in the right expertise, whether personal training or therapy or life coaching. It pays tenfold in dividends and saves so much time. And I want to thank you so much for this episode. I've pretty much covered everything. Well, I had an idea or two that I hope more video games can start teaching people to take better care of their bodies. At least for me, video games really got me into the idea of leveling up and improving. And I think, did you ever play Metal Gear Solid 3? The Snake Eater?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So he gets like injured and you have to put his arm in a splint and you have to give him like antibiotics and you snake venom and incredible game. He's like the video game David Goggins. So now I'm
For
already
sure.
picturing allostatic load, fibromyalgia, and all those things, and how it's all about how to play the game of life, and so much to take in. So yeah, Khalil, thank you so much for the episode.
Thank you very much.
And for anyone interested in again learning more, I'm going to put all his social media information below. So much to learn. And yeah, guys, take care of yourselves. Your body is an amazing tool, and yeah, really maintain it. Yeah, anything else to add?
No, I think I covered everything. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic.